Hey everyone, Home Depot reported second quarter earnings, which I will review in this video here. I'm also going to update my recommendation of Home Depot stock. Coming into these results, I had Home Depot rated as one of my top stocks to buy, so you're going to want to tune in to see if I'm changing that recommendation. So let's get right into it. Revenue decreased by 2% to 42.9 billion. Earnings per share fell to $4.65, down from $5.05 year over year. Remember, Home Depot was one of the prime beneficiaries of the pandemic, and now that economies have reopened and people are spending more time and money away from home, that's been slightly hurting Home Depot's results. Although investors thought that Home Depot's results would come down more than they actually have, there is a slight decrease in terms of their customer demand, which I will show you a little bit more later on in the video, so stay tuned for that. The biggest headwinds were in big ticket items and discretionary items. And this reminds me a little bit of what's going on in the computer industry. Remember, in 2020 and 2021, people needed to work from home, so they bought a bunch of computers and laptops. But then, because so many people bought computers and laptops in 2020 and 2021, sales of computers and laptops have been down in 2022 and 2023 because people aren't buying them. They already bought them and they don't need to replace them for another 4 or 6 years. Similar with Home Depot and the big ticket items, right? 2020, 2021, people had a lot of stimulus checks coming in. They were stuck at home. They looked around and they said, hey, let's upgrade our kitchen. Let's buy a new fridge. Let's buy a new stove. Well, when you buy those items, those are long lasting items. You're not going to need to buy them again for at least another 5 years or so. Now think about that with the all the big ticket items around your house, your fridge, your dishwasher, your stove, your laundry machines, and so on. And many people bought those during the earlier stages of the pandemic, and that was partly why Home Depot's revenue exploded higher during those times. But now that whoever mostly wanted to replace those items replaced them, there's a little gap now between the purchases of those items, and demand is going to be understandably lower until the replacement cycle comes around again for people to replace those that they bought in 2020 and 2021. Moving on, the company's cash flow from operations in the first 6 months of 2023 surged to 12.2 billion. That was up from 7.2 billion during the same time last year. And you might be curious, how can their cash flow from operations surge when their revenue and earnings per share were down? Well, that's mainly due to inventory management. Inventory, remember, when a company buys inventory, that's a use of cash. And then when they sell inventory, that's cash coming in. So what happened with Home Depot is last year they brought in a bunch of inventory, billions of dollars worth of inventory, close to $30 billion worth of inventory, 26.1 billion to be exact. And this year they've eased up on the inventory purchases, understanding and anticipating that sales are going to slow down. So what happened in the most recent quarter was they drew down some of their inventory. Instead of ordering new products, they let the existing products sell through without replacing them because they understood that this is going to be a downtime for customer demand. And so inventories fell to 23.2 billion. That was down from 26.1 billion during the same time the previous year. And in my opinion, this is another example of excellent management from Home Depot's management team, which I've been boasting about ever since the beginning of the pandemic. Home Depot has been one of the management teams that's done an excellent job both during the boom times of the pandemic and during the reopening times. There was a lot of companies that did good in one or the other, but very few companies like Home Depot that did well managing both the boom time and the economic reopening time very well. And so I am always boasting and giving kudos to Home Depot's management for that. The company is reiterating its 2023 guidance for revenue to decrease by 3.5% and earnings per share to fall by 10%. And This is bigger than the 2% decline in the second quarter, but revenue fell by more in the first quarter of the year. Perhaps Home Depot is anticipating further declines for the rest of the year, but I don't see that to be the case, and I'm going to show you why. So let's look at this next slide here. So here I have pulled up select sales data for Home Depot, and we have two figures here. On the left-hand side, we have the 3-month data, and on the right-hand side, we have the 6-month data, which incorporates the whole of the year. So in the most recent quarter, which ended July 30th, customer transactions fell by 1.8%. But look at for the whole year, for the 6 months, customer transactions are down 3.2%. In the first quarter of the year, customer transactions were down by much more, and the second quarter they are down but less than they were in the first quarter. So it's improving. The rate of decrease is improving. That's why I mentioned that I don't think it's getting worse. It looks like it's getting better, but maybe Home Depot has seen some data so far in the demand for the second half of the year that tells them that it's going to get worse, or they're being conservative in the forecast. Average ticket was relatively flat, up just 0.1% to $90.07 compared to $90.02 last year. And the sales per square foot, which is an important metric I pay attention to for all brick and mortar retailers, was down 2.3% to $684.65. So we're seeing the moderate decline here from Home Depot in as economies reopen, as customers spend more time away from home, as they've already, painted every room in the house, replaced appliances. A lot of home improvement has been done over the last 2 to 3 years, and so you can expect a moderate decline here, which I was fully expecting even when I recommended the stock as one of my top stocks to buy. Speaking of which, I am reiterating that recommendation. I'm still keeping Home Depot as one of my top stocks to buy right now. All right, thank you so much for watching, and I hope I'll see you again soon. I want to thank the Motley Fool for sponsoring this video. Visit fool.com/Parkev for the 10 best stocks to buy now.